US just hit out on Denmark and 7 other European countries and said that he will raise the tariffs to 25%. The tariff situation is on again, and it's going to disrupt the market a bit. Just watch this.
Tonight, a dramatic escalation in President Trump's push to acquire Greenland that could affect the cost of living here in the U.S. The president announcing plans to use tariffs to punish some of our NATO allies, saying in a Truth Social post that starting February 1st, he'll impose a 10% tariff on all goods from Denmark and 7 other countries.
Just let's pause a bit here and see the countries. Finland, Sweden, Norway, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Germany, and France. So this is a lot of countries that are very pro United States. A lot of culture influence from the United States is going into these countries, especially Nordic countries. For a long time has loved USA. So just think about that for a second.
Until Greenland is sold to the United States. The tariff will then increase to 25% on June 1st if no deal is reached. Trump teasing the idea on Friday.
May put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that.
The president's move could hurt our allies abroad.
Something to think about here is why does USA need to own Greenland for their security and their security purposes? This is how Trump thinks. He thinks that you only protect your own country the most. So he do not believe in NATO, and that you, for example, if someone invade a NATO country, USA will protect them as good, as hard as they will do if it was an invasion in the United States of America. And that is why he feel like if USA did in fact own Greenland, then the protection from USA would be a lot better. They would really embrace that area as their own, their new state, and they will protect it with everything they have. So indirectly, he's telling us that he don't really like NATO as a principle, and he don't think that is something that is the most important going into the future. So that is, I can see that is what differ Trump going into this situation with Europe, because Europe still believes really hard in the prospect of NATO and are doing everything to focus and keeping that organization intact. So let's see what's happening.
And make the cost of living even tougher for Americans at a time when the president is already struggling on the issue of affordability. Foreign leaders are firing back at this threat, with the European Union saying tariffs would risk a dangerous downward spiral. The Danish foreign minister called Trump's statement a surprise, noting just days ago they had a constructive meeting with administration officials to discuss.
So a tariff on Europe do not have to make everything more expensive in the USA. Sure, if the consumers wants European products, and despite the prices getting higher, they still choose these products because they are better in some ways, and still maybe cheaper than some local alternatives, then obviously the prices will go up and the inflation will be higher. But also companies that maybe do business with Europe and these specific countries, if they decide, well, maybe we should not put out the whole 25% on the customers, we might take a bit of this increase ourselves and reduce the price, then not all of the effects of the tariff will hit the price for the customers. So you can't just say that everything will go into inflation. So it's a bit more complicated than that. Also, short term, we might not see too much of a difference, but in the long term, if companies can't keep that margin for their businesses the same, because the tariff hit their margins, they maybe buy products or part of their company's products from these countries or other countries with tariffs, then maybe they will have to let go of some of the workforce, and that in the long term can hit the American market, because then they will have more unemployed people that need government subsidies and support, and that might lead to that they have to increase the budget deficit once again because they don't have enough tax revenue, and that will lead to more printing of money, and the problem is on. So sure, in the long term it could be very difficult, but in the short term I'm not sure that it would just bump the prices to sky high levels. Obviously, in a country like USA, you have a lot of local alternatives quite often that you can choose instead. So in part of, for the consumer, it will be less of a choice maybe, but I'm not sure that it will just bump the inflation short term to sky high levels.
Increasing the U.S. military presence in Greenland. At a massive protest in Denmark's capital today, people said they're worried about the island's future. Our Ryan Nobles was there.
You can see behind me in this crowd, people wearing red hats, very similar to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again hats, but they have a very different message. Some say in English, Make America Go Away. Others are in Greenland's native language with, if you translate it into English, a message saying enough is enough.
Trump's tariff announcement comes as a bipartisan congressional delegation has been in Copenhagen to try to reassure our allies.
Greenland needs to be viewed as our ally, not as an asset. And I think that's what you're hearing with this delegation.
If the president pursues purchasing Greenland, the price would be exorbitant. 3 people familiar with the matter say it could cost as much as $700 billion. Greenlanders and Denmark, though, say the island is not for sale.
So keep that in mind. The people that live in Greenland, they are not for sale, basically. That's what they are saying. And Denmark, that is the nation that actually Greenland is a part of, are saying the same thing. So you can't buy Greenland. So this $700 billion price tag is actually not true at all. So what will happen here is, if we decide that we are going into Greenland and USA actually using military forces, then something totally else will happen. It will be very strange with all the NATO situation, and how they will react in terms of the paragraphs that are stipulated in being a part of NATO. So that would be very interesting. And also, I'm not sure if they have the congressional support for actually an invasion in Greenland. So for now, let's think of this as something from the book that Donald Trump wrote, The Art of the Deal, where he states that you need to be very aggressive and the winner takes it all, basically. So this is how he makes propositions and how he wants USA to be. He wants them to be aggressive. He wants to just take as much as they can before someone stops, and just push to grow the influence of the country. And by being aggressive and making sure that they get the better end of the deal short term, then that is how you win, basically. That is the premises of the book, and I think this is how he wants USA to be as a whole.
Melanie Zadona joins me now from West Palm Beach. And Melanie, there's a lot of reaction to this tonight, and an emergency summit set for EU ambassadors tomorrow.
That's right. EU ambassadors will meet to weigh a response to the new Greenland-linked tariffs tomorrow. This, according to a spokesperson. Meanwhile, the EU's foreign policy chief said today that any disputes could be figured out through NATO, and that all of this is just a distraction from Russia's war in Ukraine. Jose?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch.
So this is where we are at the moment. Things are escalating a bit, but I still think you should not overreact to the situation. Just stay at the sidelines and wait for the politicians to discuss the matter. And yeah, that's my tip here. And it's the same as when we had the tariff situation going on before. I think this is part of a bigger negotiation, but through a European perspective, I think this is more a question of being on edge a bit more than if you are an American, because through your European perspective, if you face someone that is very aggressive when they make deals, obviously you need to be aggressive back and show them that you understand how they are making deals, and you need to answer up with being a bit aggressive. And that is why a lot of countries now are sending troops out to Greenland. So yeah, that is my take at the moment, and I will keep watching what's going on here and address the situation. And if anything through an economic lens happens here. I hope I can address this on the YouTube channel. So thank you for tuning in today and have a wonderful day.